Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic, less non-classics. This is episode number 1640, 55, and Doubleshot number 1549. Yeah, this one is a very weird one to talk about. Yes. Because it's a book by Daniel Way. Yes, Daniel Way wrote this thing. And this lasted 18 issues. And you're thinking, 18 issues? Was this an early book by him? Yes, it was one of his very first books. He was working on this book while he was finishing up Wolverine. He started this book, not like just like the first issue was released. This book just before just after the penultimate issue of Wolverine Volume 2. He also worked on while publishing this book, Agent X, Gun Theory, Deathlock Detour. He was gonna write an Ant-Man book. He wrote Bullseye's Great Hits, and that's how he wrote this period of time. What book is it? Venom by Daniel Way. The complete collection. This is the entire 18-issue run for this book. It's split into 7 different story arcs. This book is nowhere the first appearance of Patricia Robinson. Yes, the character who actually showed up in Absolute Carnage, who was the second official host of Scream. Now, for some reason in this book, there is no Eddie Brock. Yeah, for some reason, Eddie Brock does not appear in this book. He's mentioned several times. But for some reason, there is no Venom. Why, there's no Eddie Brock, per se. No. And the first arc is called Sliver. And it's a pastiche of John Carpenter's The Thing, which, yeah. Guys just mentioned the whole story. This Sima clone ate, like, the entire complement of this station. And of course, you actually have Patricia Robinson trying to escape with this agent for the Averant Corporation who only appear in this book. Yeah, because after this book is over, they never appear ever again. Don't know the reason for it. They just stopped appearing. Yep. Yeah, and after she escapes Antarctica, the Venom symbiote, who is not Eddie Brock, goes to Shoreline, despite the fact they try to contain this Venom symbiote, even though it's not Eddie, and ends up at some village, supposedly Canada, because he runs into frickin' Wolverine, who has a fight with him for several issues. Who, like, he's just like, wait, you're not Eddie, because apparently he knows Eddie, and then it takes until like the final story arc of this run to finally have an appearance by somebody besides Wolverine. Yeah. Excuse me, because we have Spider-Man finally appearing in the book. And he's wondering what the heck is going on. Yeah, and it's mostly the Fantastic Four trying to deal with the Venom symbiote for the last several issues. And, of course, S.H.I.E.L.D. is here. And, yeah, it's a very weird run. Yeah, and apparently, like, issue 13 takes place chronologically just before issue 1. Yeah, like, Sliver was like 3 parts, and then you have Twist. And Venom is now host to Trish Robinson. I kind of forgot she was the host of Venom Symbiote. And of course, you have Eddie Brock finally making an appearance in the book. Yes, Eddie Brock. And yeah, then this fake Venom gets destroyed. Yep, gets destroyed in the final issue. As Patricia Option happened to her after that, well, she eventually just did stuff on her own. Which means she didn't make a next appearance after this book ended, and then she popped up in the pages of Absolute Carnage, Scream. Where apparently at that point she was supposedly dead. Yeah. So, her next appearance was not for 15 freaking years. Now, as for why the heck that was, I don't know. My only guess is the reason why I included her because she was a past host of Venom symbiote. That was the simple reason for that. It's by far one of the most weirdest runs Venom. And here's the strange thing about this book. There's like Eddie Brock doesn't show up until the third and last issue of this book. This book is counted as part of the Venom numbering when it hit 150. And you're thinking, really? It is? Yeah, it is. Now, the cover art here, oh boy. Like, there's like Sam Keith does some of the covers. Which I've heard the guy is not crazy per se, but he's not all right in the head. That's just what I've heard from a couple people. I personally have never met Sam Keith. I have met a guy who's actually met Sam Keith. I didn't ask him about Sam Keith at all, what type of person he is. Because apparently he's a very close-minded person. And he apparently doesn't like doing interviews. Yes. I heard this from Comic Jerk. Yes, this was a YouTuber. I heard from his interviews he did that's the reason that he does not do interviews. He does interviews. He's very close-minded. And from what I heard also, the Max nearly ruined him. Like, mentally and physically while doing that book. And that was the reason why it took 35 issues to come out over the course of 10 years. And of course, the IDW got a license to publish the actual book. As our series collection. Now, the artwork for these issues, which is quite interesting. You have Francisco Herrera in his first 5 issues, 11-13, with Sean Galloway, issue 13. You have Paca Medina, who's actually the artist, issue 6, and all of a sudden, for some strange reason, the way the artwork goes, it's kind of weird. Like, you have Francisco Herrera, who's a pretty interesting artist, and at issue 14, the artwork just abruptly changes to Scotty Young. Yes. Oh, by the way, aside from Scotty Young, who actually does the artwork here along with Sam Keith, Mike Dino Jr. does some artwork, cover art too, along with Clayton Crane. And that's it. Yeah. This run is by far the weirdest Venom book I have ever read. Is it good? Oh, it's pretty decent for what it is. It's never at homebound per se, but I only checked this out. I really want to review it purely because it's a Danny Way book. And I love Danny Way stuff. He's really a good writer. But this actually is not my favorite books. I would say probably I can't think of any book of his actually is bad. You could say it's this book per se. That is one of my least favorites of his. But my favorites of his are Wolverine, Dokken, Dark Wolverine, Deadpool. Love these 3 books. They're amazing. His Venom book is not much how I homebound. His Thunderbolts book was interesting to say the least. Though I thought it was kind of weird he abruptly left at issue 11. And weirdly enough, that was his last book he did for Marvel, aside from working on an issue of Deadpool. Deadpool Nerdy 30. That was his most recent book he did for Marvel. And you're thinking, really? Yes, really. Right here, it looks like he did some issues of Ghost Rider. He may have covered some with Jason Aaron. But yeah, Deadpool Nerdy 30 and Deadpool 27. Those 2 were his most recent books he ever did for Marvel. Red Menace, which was the final. This was actually the The end of his second arc for Thunderbolts came out in 2013. His next two books came out. Next book was 1 year later, which was Deadpool, and then Nerdy 30, which came out just last year. And this book came out 7 years after his last book. Yes, 7 years. So as of right now for Daniel Way, the only things I have full review from him so far, you could definitely say this, his Venom book, his Sabretooth miniseries, I have reviewed his issues for Incredible Hulk. Yes, I have. Some issues fully reviewed. I'd say X-Men Originals Him One Shot. Oh, he did start as Slayer. I think he's like a modern interpretation of this one. Oh, he did the Max run. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But not many of his books, basically, I've done a full review for. Well, yes, I did do his book for his issues he did for Astonish the X, which I thought were pretty decent issues. But it's kind of weird, though, that after that book, at one point, it seemed like Deadpool was the only book he was working on. And once the book ended, moved over to Thunderbolts, and then he left. Did 2 issues, and that was it for him. So, a few books, but I'm looking forward to more stuff from him from Marvel Comics. I don't think I know if he does any work anymore for comic books. I'm sure he goes to conventions nowadays, but yeah, it's kind of weird it comes to anyway. Great writer. Love the guy's work. But I'm kind of like, okay, why the heck is he not doing anything, since then, per se? Yes. Oh, here's the thing. He's currently 47. I think with Marvel, he did some graphic novels, per se. Does he work in Image? Well, technically, his most recent book he worked on prior to working on that Deadpool Nerdy 30 was Hit Girl Season 2. He worked on that. And he also worked on one shot for Kickstarter, a few books outside of Marvel. He did a few issues of Cross, which that's a weird series. All about cutting people up and putting cross people's faces. It's a weird book. I don't want to talk much more about it. But I'm going to give Wolverine by Danny Way the complete collection. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. Alright, next up is Thanos by Donny Kudis. Thanos wins! Yep, this is the final trade that collected issues from Thanos Volume 2. Yes, the final trade. This book contains issues 13-18 of Thanos Volume 2, plus his annual, which, get this, came out 5 years after this book ended. Which thinking, that's weird. Yes. Now, what happens in this book? Well, it's thanks to this book we get used to one character who's actually still around this very day. Plus, love the variant covers for this book, where it's a clear homage to classic Thanos covers. This, I believe, is one of Donny Kudis' very first books he did for Marvel. Yes, I believe it was. Yes, I think this was one of his very first books he ever did for Marvel because this only came out just a few years ago. No, I think his first book he worked on was Secret Wars Battle World, but he did also co-write some stories for Sam Wilson. He did co-write some stuff with Nick Spencer for Captain America Sam Wilson, a couple issues with Steve Rogers. But this was technically the second ongoing book he was given thanks to the Marvel Legacy Initiative. Yep. This is about 5 years ago. Yep. And of course, he also did Doctor Strange animation, which I have reviewed. I'm about to talk about his Thanos book, and of course, I've talked about his awesome Venom run. I've also talked about his Death of Humans, pretty interesting miniseries, felt a bit rushed. I I've talked about a lot of his stuff for him, like a lot of his work. I would say I've got done most of his current work right now, per se. Like, I would say, like I said, most of it is pretty much reviewed. I would probably say, aside from this book, the only thing left to go for him is, well, the Cosmic Ghost Rider miniseries. Excuse me, Secret Wars Battlefield. And Web of Venom, that one shot. And I think that's it, because if you think about it, I pretty much reviewed like just about everything for him from Marvel, which is quite interesting with this book here. So I would say with this book, I'd say I have reviewed pretty much about 95% of his books he published for Marvel. So this book, Thanos reclaims a planet run by the Shi'Tar. And yeah, of course, stuff going on. There's also teasing here of Silver Surfer Black, which does going to play in the miniseries Donny does. So I have to take over the Shi'Tar, just like does the movie. And then we have this fire. It's like, what the heck is going on here? And it's the Cosmic Ghost Rider. Yep, the Cosmic Ghost Rider, a.k.a. Frank Castle, the Punisher. This issue here is his very first appearance. Yeah, really awesome character that's, like I said, still around. Yeah, he's actually had a series of 3 miniseries. Yeah, he had Cosmic Ghost Rider, Cosmic Destroyers Marvel Universe, and Revenge of the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and that was it. Yeah, that was the only thing he did. Like, it was like 3 miniseries. The first was written by Donny Kudis. The second was done by Paul Shriver and Nick Galitti. Revenge of the Cosmic Ghost Rider, that was done by Dennis Hoplam, a.k.a. Dennis Hopeless. Yeah, which I reviewed really good miniseries, and that was the very miniseries he actually met his 6th place counterpart. And the whole thing in this book, they do kind of explain a little bit later on Cosmic Ghost Rider's backstory, where Thanos devastated Earth and Punisher basically had made a deal with Mephisto in order to get more power, and then he just runs into Galactus. And he's like, hey, can you make me a hero? He's like, sure. In exchange, you can basically take the Earth, because he had no one left there. So then he goes to fight Thanos. And then he chops up Galactus' head. No, seriously, that's what he does. And when he tells him his real name, Thanos has no idea who the heck Frank Castle is. Well, there's a reason for that. The reason why Thanos has no idea who the heck the Punisher is. Do you want to know the reason for this? The reason is they never met before. Nope. I think him along with Rock Raccoon did make an appearance at the same time. Though, of course, Punisher was created by Jerry Conway, Thanos was created by Jim Starlin, and Rock Raccoon was created by Bill Mantle and Keith Giffen. Yeah. So, I should point out, though, this book came out 3 years after Original Sin, when Punisher first met Rocky Raccoon for the first time, which I still think that was awesome. Where his line was, hey, Skullboy, nice gun, mine's bigger. Which I still think is so hilarious. And it is so cool that Jason Aaron actually wrote Punisher in War of the Realms. Yeah, so basically the Cosmic Ghost Rider captures Thanos and brings him before Thanos. He's like, I am Thanos. Like, I am Thanos. Ha ha ha. You certainly are. I'm afraid that the one here you need to pose, boy. Do you see now? You've already won. Yep, the old man Thanos. Yeah, he's only here just for these issues before, excuse me, before Thanos kills his future self in order to satisfy Lady Death. Yeah, apparently there's a big statue of Lady Death on this planet that Thanos was taken to. Like, was it taken in the future? It's not really clarified. It's just that we have an old man version of Thanos here. What do you see look like when he was born? Where, yes, he was born this way with the purple skin. As a matter of fact, his father, who was known as Mentor, by the way, which Jeff Lemire killed him off in the previous run. And his mother basically was kind of disgusted of the fact he was purple. Now, to date, it's never explained of why his skin is purple, despite the fact his brother is Star Fox. No, seriously. Yeah, when people think of Star Fox, what people think about when think of that? They think of Star Fox, the video game that came back in the year 60s or the 90s. Not necessarily. His real name is Edros. He is in fact Thanos' brother, and his head his hair is shaped like fox ears, and the guy has pheromones that basically allows to have various women fall in love with him just by looking at them. And here's the weird thing about him: the fact that he actually, it was alleged in Dan Slott's run that he was responsible for She-Hulk marrying John Jameson because he manipulated their marriage, so they got divorced because of it. Yeah, and there was at one point where Eros was killed by Thanos, but he came back alive anyways. And that happened in the previous run. Also in the previous run, Nebula had a one-night stand with Champion. If I'm Champion, I'm like, damn, you got a smoking hot woman to sleep with you, man. And she's like, this is the one and only thing. And with sex change, the Jeff Lemire built up with several issues. So, basically, if Thanos beat the crap out of his successor mostly, well, his future self. Well, this was a different version of Death, because this version appeared to be going to have this. They also have a version of Norrin Rand, who basically was black, which this did foreshadow something basically that Donny will explore in the pages of Silver Surfer Black, where he had the Silver Surfer had his skin turn black. No, not become black person per se. No, it's more like we also have a version of the Hulk here. Yes, the Hulk, which Thanos himself has met before, so he has history of him. And here he is, the fallen one, the Silver Surfer. And yes, Donny would explore this in Silver Surfer Black, which I believe came out not long after this. Yes, I believe it was. And it was in issue 16 that we finally get a chance to explore the Cosmic Ghost Story's, well, a little bit of his backstory. Yeah. Also, love this cover image for Silver Surfer being punched down by the Gauntlet. This is a homage to, I think it was Incredible Hulk 102. Yes, I believe it was. Because I remember this is what the cover looked like. I think it was Incredible Hulk 102. No, it wasn't 102. I think it may be one of the specials, I think it was. Let's see. Oh yeah, it was pretty much a nod, pretty much the same pose. It's a nod to Hulk Special Number 1. Yep. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what it is. Heck, even Silver Surfer is in the same exact pose. Yeah, he is. Which is quite interesting, the fact that, of all things homage, they decided to have the artist homage that cover. When I saw it, I was thinking, like, wow, yeah, that is. I'm looking at the cover for. And of course, they allege that Frank Castle died in issue 17. Nope, he's pretty much alive. They pretty much revealed that he actually did survive, and he was brought back for this annual. Mm-hmm. Yes. But I love the fact that Donny Coates basically set up the whole Silver Surfer Black miniseries thanks to this very run. And you have Thanos basically killing the Cosmic Ghost Rider and, well, the fallen one. Yeah, but then the final issue has him kill his future self. Because why the heck not? Now, Donny Coates would do the first story in the end. That came next. With Jeff Shaw in the artwork. The second story, which is to what to get from a man who takes everything. That's about Chris Hastings. I believe this guy was the writer for Gwenpool. Exhibition. Cameron Gillian. As the co-writer for Eternal, which is really good, by the way. But his worst book has got to be Young Avengers. There's also My Little Thanos by Katie Cook. There's a couple more stories. There is The Time that Thanos helped an old lady cross the street. That's by Ryan North. This guy was the writer for the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl series. And the final story is The Comfort of the Good. This is by the awesome Al Ewing. Yeah, the whole point of the first story is revealed that, Cosmic Ghost Rider is alive. It just basically, like, Thanos being a father, plus love this little homage to the Infinity Gauntlet with this particular, this castle area, which was built by Thanos, which I thought was so cool. The fact that the artist did that. Second story, just a mini Thanos. The other one, the third story feels like something out of the animated series. Well, one of them anyways. Where Thanos basically just helps Oli across the street. We have various shenanigans happen. And it's a very quick story. The last story, I believe this was one of the artists from Doctor Strange, which also features the Cosmic Ghost Rider. And it's just a really cool horror story. And of course, the story says it can continue in Cosmic Ghost Rider, which Donny himself would in fact write that. Yes. I'm going to give Thanos Wins by Donny Coates a 10 out of 10. It's a damn good story. And I do recommend it if people are fans of Donny Coates and Thanos. Now, my final thoughts on the Thanos ongoing series that lasted for 18 issues. First by Jeff Lemire, and then of course the last arc was on by Donny Coates. Now, weirdly enough, I did not get a chance to ask Donny Coates why this book ended after 18 issues, but Donny Coates has done excellent stuff since then. Done stuff like his recent Venom run, which was really good, King in Black, Absolute Carnage, The Cosmic Ghost Rider, Silver Surfer Black, Guardians of the Galaxy. He's done really, really good stuff. And so far as I can tell for Donny Coates, nothing by him has been bad. No. And with reviewing this, like I said when I started this is pretty much like 95% done with Donny closest time at Marvel. I mean, you'd probably be asking, what else is there left? Because you have pretty much reviewed like just about everything by this guy. No, seriously, it seems like that. There's like one issue about it, like I mentioned before. Well, there's the Cosmic Ghost miniseries. That's another big thing I need to get a chance to review. And aside from those two things, I've covered the Revenge of the Cosmic Ghost Fighter, which I think he just did the backup story for that one. Of course, I have covered that. Fortnite X Nexus War. I don't think I've covered that one. What Venom? I think this was collected in one of the. Yeah. So, a lot of the stuff, basically, all things is just Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. And whatever basically is going on with Hulk and Banner. The Hulk and Thor. Yep. Which apparently is going to be a crossover between Thor and the Hulk. I mean, why the heck not? I mean, these two have fought each other since the 60s. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review. I might do one more video tonight. That'll be a review for One Punch Man. But aside from that, that'll be pretty much it. Okay, next video. Bye.